Welcome to Uncontained episode 137. I'm your host, Aaron Static Render, and on the show today I have Hellz. Yeah, he's a rapper slash producer. He's a Brooklyn native, now in Atlanta, Georgia, and there's also one other fact that I can throw out about Hellz. Yeah, he was my first Instagram live interview, so if you would have tuned in, I don't know, a little while ago, you may have caught this interview on Instagram Live. I'm planning on doing that more and more to help get you guys involved in the show. So if you have some questions that you might want to get answered, you'll be able to submit those via Instagram Live, and maybe they'll make their way into the show. It was a great conversation with Hellz. Yeah, I'm looking forward to officially sharing it with you on Uncontained right now. We had some great advice shared, some great stories shared, and also a brand new track for you. Yes, we talk about the album in the show. I may or may not have accidentally called it the wrong name. You'll just have to listen and see. But now, this is the debut track off of his upcoming album, Last Night at the Disco, produced by Said Waynes, and also featuring Brad DiBiase. This is Blow.
Hey, yo, lesson here, babe. You come at the king, you best not miss.
This a lesson you ain't learned yet. I got my foot on your neck. I'm the illest that you've heard yet. There ain't a mic I ain't burned yet. Who's that coming for the crown? Blah! Nobody now. Who's that coming for the crown? Blah! Nobody now. Top shotter, Don Dada. You better sidestep drama if you wanna see mañana. Even through pain, my eyes cry nada. When I die, I come back to some live lava. Y'all are one-trick ponies, authentic phonies. For me, I'm where poetic and the throne meets. Multi-faceted, don't try, master it. Star presence, my silhouette resembles an asterisk. Never could I be too special or arrogant, but I know none can copy my level of passionate. Up from the bottom, or the bottom in. I got so cold with the flow, I could become a slalom in. To be a solution, you gotta become a problem in. I put my feet on these niggas, they become my ottomans. But for those who still wanna try me though, I end your breathing like a Roy Jones body blow. This a lesson you ain't learned yet. I got my foot on your neck. I'm the illest that you've heard yet. There ain't a mic I ain't burned yet. Who's that coming for the crown? Nobody now. Who's that coming for the crown? Nobody now. You clowns are whacking it, yeah, baby. Pun intended. But I'm pretty sure that's not what pun intended. Capital punishment, death by execution. Y'all done did it dirty, I'm hip-hop's retribution. They say imitation is the greatest form of flattery, but now it's the greatest form of faggotry. You assholes, all with the same trap flows. Pants sagging around your boys by the crack of your ass shows. Homoerotica, y'all out here wearing dresses. I'm dressed in all black like I'm celebrating Hanukkah. I'm raising a thermometer, every breath's a heat wave. Work out your mouth, make you eat your words. Call it cheat day. I'm no professor, but I'm a scholar in this line of work. One punch make a sucker realign and smirk. To find another half that's good, you can try and search. Ever seen a river in the desert? Die of thirst. This a lesson you ain't learned yet. I got my foot on your neck. I'm the illest that you've heard yet.
Yay, yay.
There ain't a mic I ain't burned yet. Who's that coming for the crown?
Who?
Nobody now. Who's that coming for the crown?
What up, though?
Nobody now.
Hellz left ashes on the mic, I had to blow it off. He keep bread with him, but he's never showing off. I play the backup. If y'all niggas act up, I can spit shit to make you whack rappers rap up. Ho, 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 I deliver like Santa Claus. These whole rappers ain't hot, it's just menopause. Pocketbooks and skirts, they ain't men at all. Victoria's Secret, they in women's stores. Now I said hip-hop died, he was dead right. I resurrected round here cause I'm dead nice. I hear the whispering, you niggas better tread light. Foot on your neck like I'm running through a red light. See what the bread like? After I'm gone, it's a dead mic. Cause if a white boy gon' kill me, yeah, right. The ground we own it, down we hold it. The gown you wearing explains the clown shit you doing. Fuck up outta here.
How are you doing today, Hellz? Yeah, should I call you Hellz or Mr. Hellz?
Hellz. Yeah, of course, just call me Hellz. Yeah, I've had people call me and it just doesn't work out too well. So.
It's like and yeah. I'm like yeah.
Right. Nah, Hellz is perfect. Hellz is perfect.
All right, sounds good. Hellz, let's do this. So, welcome to Uncontained, and now. Let's just get started with the very basics. You want to just fill us in a little bit about yourself, kind of where you come from, and maybe how you got into the world of hip hop.
Got you. Well, first, I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I now reside in Atlanta, but I've only been here for the past year and a half, so I still have the New York influence, musically, attitude-wise, all those things. My first introduction to the music industry was I was working with DR Period. If anybody knows who DR Period is, or who doesn't know who DR Period is, he's the producer who brought out MOP.
Okay.
And Smooth the Hustler. So I got connected with him through his nephew, and really from there, my introduction into being in the studio with all those guys, I just kind of never looked back.
All right, cool, man. So now I read online that your name wasn't always Hellz Yeah.
No.
What was it, and how did you come from that name to Hellz Yeah? It's kind of an interesting story.
You're right. Well, my name used to be Equinox.
Okay.
It was actually given to me by DR Period's brother. That name was given to me. I don't remember the reason why he gave me that name.
That was going to be my next question.
But he said, I guess because I used to rap real scientific. Used to use a lot of big words and stuff. So he was like, yo, your name should be Equinox. It's like, okay, whatever that means.
At least they didn't call you Webster or something like that, like the dictionary.
Right. So, as the years went on and as I got older and matured and my rhyme style changed, so my name changed and I shortened it down to Knox. But people were getting too confused calling me Max or Fort Knox and all those names. So I was on the phone with a friend of mine one day and I was just like, I'm going to just call myself Hellz Yeah. And she was like, that sounds pretty cool. So when a female tell you something sounds cool, you gotta kind of take it into heavy consideration.
Yeah, and especially if it's one and that doesn't like just bullshit you a little bit too.
Right,
if it's one that you can trust, and they're like, oh yeah, that's actually cool, because they won't hesitate to be like, no, that's stupid, don't do that.
Exactly. So and then from there, I kind of built off of that name, because it's not really a name, it's a statement.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what my music is. I believe my music is a statement, whether I'm producing or being an artist. So, and then who can't relate to Hellz Yeah? Who hasn't said a form of Hellz Yeah or hell yeah in their life, So
exactly.
It has that also double meaning that, I'm somebody that everybody can relate to.
And does it kind of also implies that, you're going to have a good time in some way, and
yes.
Like you come to a Hellz Yeah show, it's not going to be like boring. You're not going to be like sitting like, oh man, I can't wait for somebody else to get on stage. No, you're there for the main event.
Right. Exactly.
Right on, man. So you got Hellz Yeah, and so, like, do you ever like get mixed up at least in Google searches or whatever? There's actually was a metal band, rock band called Hell Yeah. And are you aware of them?
Yep. There's also people who have named their song Hell Yeah. or Hellz Yeah. But that's why I spelled my name mainly. I spelled my name with a Z, HELLZYEA, and then there's an exclamation mark.
Okay.
You got to spell my name with the exclamation mark in order to find me.
Gotcha. I was leaving out the exclamation mark earlier, and that's why I asked about the Hell Yeah with Vinnie Paul, formerly of Pantera, R.I.P. Yeah, then I just typed Hell's Yeah rapper. Then I was like, hell yeah, there it is.
I'm glad it came up.
All right, yes. I had to do a little research before this. I can't come in, and not know what I'm talking about at all. But now we got how you got your name. All right, so now from what I've heard, what I've listened to, it seems like you are going a different direction than, say, like what I call bling bling rap, where it's rapping about, your Bentleys, your Rolexes, and shit I don't got. But
exactly.
But it seems like you're going a little different direction, making it more serious, but, still with some clever wordplay and kind of a solid delivery as well. Like, is that a conscious decision that you aren't doing the look at my Bentleys and my Rolexes and stuff like that?
I mean, very much so. Being raised in Brooklyn, I have to be specific to Brooklyn. I don't just say New York. I have to be specific to Brooklyn.
Okay.
It's very important to be exactly who you are, or you'll find yourself in situations that doesn't really benefit you for that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I take that mentality along into my music. I can't rap about Bentleys and jewels and stuff like that if I don't possess those items, because people will be like, okay, where's it at? My OGs always, whatever they talked about, they actually did, of course, some people would exaggerate or fabricate, in entertainment, you also have to do that. You do have to exaggerate things every once in a while, as long as they're still in the realm of entertainment and not just blatantly lying. I feel like me rapping about Bentleys and jewels and things of that nature, that's just be blatantly lying. Now I can say I desire those things. You know what I mean? That would be more of a realistic thing for me. So It's important for me to be true to who I am as a person, as well as my lifestyle.
Gotcha, man. That makes complete sense, and I think, I used to really like rap back in the day, before it did go to like the bling bling type music, as I, once again, that's my name for it. But, I really liked groups like Bone Thugs and Harmony, Outkast, even like Dre and Snoop and Tupac and Biggie and all those names that get thrown around a lot. But, I kind of like lost interest when it just became, more superficial like. And part of the reason, like, I liked rap and metal and / rock back in the day a lot more. And part of the reason for that is because, and I still do like some of them, but, part of the reason for that is because, you can correct me if you think I'm wrong here, but rap and rock and / metal are two of the rawest forms of expression, two of the could be the most brutal forms of expression, and both come from some form of like suffering or lack of voice in other way,
Yes, I totally agree.
So I think that's what drew me to both of them as a kid, even though I grew up in a rural town and had no other relation that I could necessarily relate to, like hip hop through, other than like movies and, feeling that type of outcast feel, like lack of voice. So, but, and it's also how I escaped being a redneck. So there you go.
Okay, now that's honesty for you.
No belt buckles the size of my forehead. No Wrangler jeans for me. I'm So now that you know how I kind of got exposed to like hip hop and everything like that, like what was your exposure? How did you get involved?
My first ever hip hop record hearing was Sucker MCs by Run DMC.
Okay.
My cousin had one of those little Fisher Price record players, and he was my older cousin. He went out and got the record, Sucker MCs. He played it, and it gave me a feeling like, wow, like I feel like this is who I am.
Okay.
You know, and when the way Run made me feel is how I always wanted to make other people feel. You know, that sense of freedom of being exactly who you want to be.
Yes, definitely.
That's how I felt Run was. He was, you know, he was extra loud on the record. He was vulgar. He didn't care what he said, you know, but he was just being exactly who he was, you know, and I feel that's what hip hop is, you know, a person expressing exactly who they are and being honest and comfortable with being who they are.
There you go. That's you know, that's what it is. That's what I think art should be, or like, you know, like I think for the most part it should be honest. Yes, there's room for exaggeration, interpretation, like in like stand up and movies and stuff like that. Obviously, the real story isn't always as entertaining, but you know, so you got to embellish it a little bit, either to make it better or protect some people in the story, you know.
Exactly. True indeed.
But you know, it's kind of like that to me. It's kind of like music should and art should reflect something. Like it goes to, is it reflecting life or life reflecting art type thing. But it should, of course, you're going to have your bubblegum art, but the art that I like anyway typically says something.
Yes. And I believe every form of art has, like you said, its bubblegum part, and then it has the substance part, you know, but does that take away from it being art? You know, whether it's bubblegum or something of substance, because that bubblegum art obviously means something to somebody, you know, and it's somebody's expression of something. You know what I mean? It may not be themselves, but it's an expression of something, you know. So, you know, I take everything for what it is. You know, if I don't like something, I just don't partake in it. And if I don't like something, I also speak on the fact that I don't like it. And, you know, I make it very, very clear that I don't like it.
Very cool, man. And, you know, it's, I just kind of forgot where I was going with this. It'll come back to me. I'll bring it back. If it pops up, it pops up. If it didn't, it wasn't that important to say anyway.
Gotcha.
Actually, it came back quicker than I thought it was gonna.
Awesome.
I know, right? I know. It's working. If I didn't have this headset on, you know, you might see like fire coming out of my ears or something like that. But I actually just interviewed an artist from New Orleans. It's this last episode that I just released on Tuesday. And we were talking about, you know, different forms of art that he does. He does some art to pay the bills. Like he does some illustrations for like some children's books, including like Olivia, a Nickelodeon series of a little pig, and then Pinkalicious or something, which is a PBS like series. I haven't necessarily watched either of them, but you know, I'm not their demographic. But then he also does some really cool New Orleans style, like voodoo influenced and Mardi Gras influenced art. He has these like giant heads made out of like, it's like cardboard mache, and you know, like paper mache, but it's like cardboard, and you can actually wear them as a giant mask. So it's he has some that are like kind of cowboy or Cajun-esque, because he's like, that's what cowboys are down there, and then some gargoyles, ghouls, and stuff like that. And I think that's along the lines of kind of what he likes to do. Then he does some stuff for himself, and then pay the bills with the other stuff. So let's get
exactly.
back. Let's get back to talking about you. Enough about past guests. But I brought that up just to make a point. And if you want to hear more on that, the episode's out now. Check it out. But so where can people find your music? What do you have going on right now? You have an album out called Essence, correct?
The Essence, yes, that's with DJ. I did a collab album with DJ Mousetrap. What I like to do when I'm working on albums is really just work with one producer.
Okay.
So this was actually my second album. The first album I did myself, but this album, the second album, The Essence, was produced by DJ Mousetrap. It's available on all streaming platforms, Spotify, Tidal, all that other good stuff. But it was an album that was a statement album for me, as well as for what I felt music from my era and my regional location should be. Because being in New York, we took a lot of the down south rap, down south hip hop, and and just kind of made it just copycatted pretty much. So I was very determined, to really do music that reflected not only my taste of hip hop, but reflected where I was from and what I thought it should be coming from where I was from.
Okay. So you said it was a statement record. Like, what was there a specific statement you were trying to make? What's that? And what was that statement? The
specific statement is that good music can still be made.
Okay.
Our brand of hip hop can still be made. We don't have to copy another region in order to make good music. And I felt that was the air in New York, that we had to do trap in order to be successful in doing music. You know what I mean? So that was the statement I was making. Like, listen, I'm not going to do not one trap record on this album. It's all going to be boom bap samples, and I'm going to be talking about stuff. So, it meant a lot to me to make that type of album, to let folks know that, listen, we can still do this.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So you mentioned that in New York, people were starting to sample like the trap style, or kind of go after the trap style of down south. Since you moved down south, have you felt your style change at all, or are you staying with your old roots?
Very good question. I'm always going to stay with my old roots. The boom bap, the hip hop sound, the classic hip hop sound is always going to be there. But also being an artist, being a producer, I've had other well-respected artists, come to me and say, listen, it doesn't matter what the beat is. You always do you.
Okay.
So, whether it's a trap beat, whether it's a West Coast beat, because like West Coast has a sound too. What, I'm going to not do West Coast beats? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't make sense to box myself in, especially when I'm extremely capable of doing whatever sound I choose to do.
Yeah.
So, for me to show that off, I have to do those type of records. I have to do those type of trap records, but still being myself.
Got you. So, so you bring yourself to that beat. You bring yourself, You throw yourself into that style of music, which completely makes sense on that. You got to bring your own style, So now you have, as I said, you have the Essence out right now. I know, at least when I read it, you were working on doing Last Night at the Disco and the Essence 2. Is that still correct?
Last Night at the Dojo.
Dojo. I'm sorry. I actually have Dojo type. I'm just like a little dyslexic sometimes, and Last Night at the Disco.
That sounds pretty cool, though.
You have the Essence and Essence 2. That could be the sequel to Last Night at the Dojo, Last Night at the Disco. It ain't dead. and have you posted like dressed kind of like Old Dirty Bastard or something like with the bell bottoms or yeah.
Actually, Last Night at the Dojo is another collaborative record album that I'm doing with one of my producers named Said Wines. And then the Essence 2 will be after that.
Okay. All right. Sounds good, man. So is it kind of a concept then? Like, is it like a story being told through Essence, Last Night at the Dojo, and then the Essence 2? Or are they standalone albums?
They're really standalone projects. They just reflect my thought processes at those times.
Okay.
You know, you're gonna hear on the Last Night at the Dojo, you know, really is a combination of the minds of myself and the producer, because I'm only working with one producer. So, you know, it's their sound sonically than my sound verbally and concept wise. So with Last Night at the Dojo, the total album has a concept where it's like I'm at the point where I'm not preaching anymore. I'm not teaching anymore. Now I'm going to show you.
Okay.
You know, it's not, and that's where now you're going to hear me doing the different sounds. You're going to hear a little bit of a trap sound. You're going to hear a little R&B sound. You're going to hear different influences on Last Night at the Dojo and how I adapt to those different influences. So it's more of a verbal martial arts type of thing.
Okay, very cool. So are you, just curious, the whole martial arts thing, of course, makes me think of Wu-Tang Clan and everything like that. Are you into the martial art movies like Wu-Tang?
I mean, of course, I grew up on those, but it's really, when I say a verbal martial arts, it's not really using martial arts per se. It's just the fact that how martial arts has different styles.
Yeah.
And certain martial artists have different styles. I'm just a verbal artist with different styles.
Okay, very cool. Okay, I got the connection. Okay, instead of like jiu-jitsu, you have your style. Then there's like, I don't know, Brazilian jiu-jitsu and like Kempo karate and kung fu and all that stuff. And you got the verbal version of that with the kicks and the punches and all that good crap. All right.
There we go. You got it. You got it.
I'm picking up what you're laying down, Hellz. I'm picking up what you're laying down. So now I know you're an MC, but you're a producer as well. Do you typically only wear one hat at a time, or do you kind of, because it seems like when you're an MC, you have a producer. Do you just produce, or do you do both at the same time?
I think I'm just doing everything at one time, because even when I'm in MC mode, I'm still producing a record. You know what I mean? So whether I'm making the beat or writing the lyrics, I'm still producing. You know, it's still a part of the production process of a record. Just because I'm not the beat maker of the record doesn't mean I'm not producing the record.
Okay.
You know, so I look at it that way, and that helps me to ease my thinking in a sense where I'm not crossed in between two worlds. I just look at both of them I just look at it all as an extension of my one creativity. It's just expanding to these different areas.
Okay. All right, man.
Yeah.
Another question along the lines of wearing the two hats, and then we'll see where that takes us. But
okay.
So having been an MC, having been rapping and everything, does that change like the way you approach producing, opposed to say a way somebody who hasn't gone the MC route who produces may approach?
It definitely, you know, because as an MC, there's certain things that I listen for in beats when I get them from other producers. So I kind of know what artists are looking for.
Yeah.
In the sense of when I'm producing a beat. So I put those elements that I know artists are looking for into the beats. So I guess that would give me a different perspective of how to approach a beat in that aspect, where a producer who isn't necessarily a rapper or a songwriter, you know, they might clutter the beat a little bit more than me, because I'm leaving space for a voice.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes people overproduce records, not realizing that, hey, you got to leave space for the artist. you know, so I approach production in that manner, and then a lot of times I think about who I'm producing for, or who I want to get production to, and I'll tailor beats in the direction of those particular artists.
Okay, and I assume that it helps you relate to the artist as well a little bit more
certainly,
too,
certainly,
because you can
certainly.
be able to understand what they're trying to tell you. Because somebody who's just technical minded might not have the MC mind, and
Right.
vice versa, and you're almost
Right.
like bilingual.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough. A translator.
That's a perfect way of putting it. Yeah.
You're like a couple albums out, you can be like the translator or something like that,
Right.
as a title. Last Night at the Dojo, The Essence 2, The Translator. I'm sorry I'm planning out your career for you, but
Hey, listen. You never know what ideas might spark.
Yeah, you never know what comes up. So we've talked about your production company, but what's the name of your production company? Might as well give it a shout out here so people can find out about you.
Well, the record label is One Dynasty Entertainment, and then the production team that I have with One Dynasty is called The Rebellion.
Okay, all right, very cool. And so, about how long would you say that you have been involved in the music industry?
My whole adult life.
Your whole adult life. All right, so then
Yes.
you probably have some good advice to pass on. So
Certainly.
what advice would you give to somebody who is looking to either, get their foot in the door, or maybe take a couple steps inside the door to get started, kind of help maybe find their voice, find a way to actually take this from being a hobby to being a career?
Right. Well, I mean, first, you got to believe in what you're doing. That is first and foremost, because this industry is not for the faint-hearted at all. This industry is not for weak-minded people, so you definitely have to believe in yourself.
Okay.
First and foremost, and then, of course, you need other people to be successful in this industry. So building a team definitely helps. And doing your research on people you come across. There's so many times artists have paid money to people who can't do anything for them.
Yeah.
So it's very important, because, wherever there's money, there's snakes, there's scammers, there's con artists, wherever there's a lot of money, so you have to be diligent and do your due diligence to do the research on these folks and make sure they are who they say they are, and that they can do what they say they can do.
Okay, yeah, that is really good advice right there. Now, say that somebody's, just recorded like a demo or whatnot, and they want to get it heard. Like, not saying everybody flood you with demo tapes or whatnot, but what would be your advice to somebody who's looking to get their music in front of a producer, in front of somebody who actually knows, who's not a snake salesman or snake oil salesman?
I would say just as simple as trying to reach out. We're in an age where everybody's accessible, unless you're Jay-Z and Beyonce or somebody like that. You know what I mean? Of course, we can't get directly to those people, but you'd be surprised what a direct message on Instagram can do for you.
Definitely, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I am a true living testament of that, where I've contacted certain people and they have responded to me. Just be ready for when folks respond to you. A lot of artists prematurely reach out to folks, and they're not necessarily ready to do business with those folks. So now you done blew an opportunity by, acting on something prematurely. So I would say make sure you're ready for when that person responds, but don't be afraid to reach out. Also, don't be afraid to reach out to folks. I don't care how important a person is. We live in the days where everybody's on social media. So you don't know if Timberland is laying in his bed, scrolling through Instagram, Facebook, or whatever, and he comes across your message. You just don't, these people do the same thing we do, so it doesn't hurt to just reach out and be persistent.
Yeah. Okay. Persistent. Now, is there a fine line between persistent and going overboard and like bombarding people?
Does it matter if you get the? Does it matter if you get the goal accomplished?
That's true, but what I'm saying, like, okay, what I'm saying is being persistent and being annoying. Like, because if you're annoying the hell out of the person, they're like, okay, well, this guy sent me things 3 days, like,
you know what?
30 days.
My thing is, if that's a person who's going to get annoyed by a person who's, trying to pursue their dream, then that's a person you don't want to do business with anyway. That person wasn't going to give you their business anyway, so it doesn't hurt to freaking reach out. I reach out to people 10 times sometimes. I really don't care how they feel, whether I'm annoying them or not. Obviously I'm reaching out to you for a purpose, and listen, you're either going to block me or you're going to answer me. And if you block me, then I move on to the next person. You know what I mean? Like, if you believe in yourself, it doesn't, people get this whole I don't know what you call it, but the self-esteem or this pride thing where they feel like, oh, I don't want to bother a person or whatever. Like, sometimes you got to bother a person.
Yeah. You know
what I mean?
I don't know if it's a self-pride thing. It's almost like they don't want to be an inconvenience to anybody because they're like thinking that, I think part of it's a self-confidence thing because it's like they don't want to reach out, not because they're too proud, but because they're like, well, I'd be bothering him. He's busy. He's got so many things he has doing, and he's not going to see my post anyway. So why should I do it? I'm just gonna keep on going on doing the same thing that I'm doing. And I'm sorry.
And you'll never get far being that way. It's like me myself. If I know for a fact that I can make somebody money or that I can make money with somebody, listen, I'm going to reach out to that person as many times as I need to reach out to him. Yes, people get busy, and especially in the social media world, things get lost in the pile. So sometimes you got to reach out to a person more than once just to make sure your name keeps going up to the top of the pile of their message list.
Definitely.
But you can't give up if you know. That's why I said believing in yourself is so important, because if you don't believe in yourself, you'll quit easy.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
of the lack of response in this industry. You know what I mean? So believing in yourself, keep reaching out to a person. If you feel like that person is the person that you need to be in contact with, then keep going. I got one guy from Spain.
Yeah.
He sends me beats like every month. I got like 100 of his beats that he sends. He sends me beats. I haven't listened to one beat yet. I feel bad for it, but I just haven't had the time to really go through his catalog. But he's persistent and he hasn't gotten mad. But look what I'm doing with him right now. I'm talking about it.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? So the persistence in annoying, yes, is a fine line, but who cares if you get the goal accomplished? You know what I mean? That's how I feel about it.
Exactly. And, I've had it work both ways for me here, too. Like either people being persistent or me being persistent. Because I've had some people contact me to be on the show and start talking about it. And then, life happens. And then, like, a month later, a couple weeks later, get back in touch with them, or vice versa. Like, if I'm messaging somebody, I don't hear back for them, send a message again, just kind of get back in on the radar. And a lot of times it's like, oh man, I just forgot, I'm sorry, let's go ahead and get this thing going. So it's life gets in the way a lot, and you just have to remind people what's going on outside their life.
Certainly. Exactly, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. All right, man. That's great advice. I'm glad we went a little deeper into that question and get some more out of it. I think people can actually use that, because that's one of the goals of this podcast here. Like for people like you to get their workout and people to hear about it and promote it, stuff like that. And then on top of that, for people who are at home, maybe like working that 9-to-5 job that they hate and wanting to do something else with their life, really have a passion for like hip hop, comedy, other like acting or whatever, to hear like some advice from people doing it, to be like, well, all right, yeah, that makes sense. I can do that. I'll get my ass off this couch and do something. And, and then it's also works perfect for me for networking. It's great. I get to talk to so many people, trick them with an interview and just pick their mind for information.
That's how it works. That's what you're supposed to do.
Exactly. So we kind of got into this, at least on a like personal level, but how are you promoting yourself right now? I know like promote yourself to the industry with keeping on messaging and being persistent, but what else are you doing to promote yourself? Anything specific?
I mean, a lot of social media, man. Like, social media runs the world. So we have to be involved in it. And, I think that the social media platform is something that artists probably 20 years ago wish they had.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know how much money they could have saved in promotion money if they had free platforms. We got to remember that these platforms are free to use.
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or whatever. Of course, they have algorithms set up where if you're trying to promote your product, you have to pay for certain ads, but it's still pennies compared to what people pay for TV ads or radio ads and things of that nature.
Very true.
And people are spending a lot more time on social media than they are watching actual TV. So using social media right now is your power, especially the fact that these platforms are free. So I do a lot of social media promo, and I communicate, I interact with fans, or supporters. Even when somebody reposts my video or something like that, and I see the comments, I go engage with those people on their comments. You know what I mean? Like, that's the work you have to put in as an independent artist, and say, hey, listen, I got to engage people, because we live in a world, especially still people don't engage with their fans. I'm going to engage, especially if you like my stuff. I'm going to engage with you. I'm going to let you know that I noticed that you like me, and I'm going to thank you for your time, because you could have given your attention to anybody else for that 1 minute.
That is great too. Like, it's a lot of people like who get even a little success sometimes think like, oh yeah, I got fans. I don't really value that and don't talk to them. Think like, oh yeah, I'll be cool and not respond or something along that. And that's like stupid. Like listening to Gary Vee. Did you listen to Gary Vee at all? Gary Vaynerchuk?
Certainly, all the time.
All right, and that what you were saying reminded me of something you were saying, like with the replying to comments. He's like, don't ever let them be the last one to respond. Like you respond last, and like don't leave them hanging. Make them feel satisfied that they talked to you. Paraphrasing, of course, he was probably a little harsher as he said it, but
right. And of course it gets to a point where it's almost impossible to respond to everybody, because you have thousands. It gets to a point where you have thousands of people commenting on your post and stuff like that. But even still, if you engage with a couple of people and other people see you engage, they'll still be like, oh, he does engage. You know what I mean? So it's not a lose situation if you engage with a few people who you can,
Exactly. Be present, and and as you said, thank people for their time, and that's huge. So you said you've been doing music your entire adult life. All right. Mm-hmm. And I know it'd be tough to narrow it down to just one or like the highlight of your life. So I'm not going to ask for that. What is a highlight or two that you'd care to share with the Uncontained audience?
Well, one is I was working with Jay-Z's cousin a few years back. I must have been in my late teens or something like that. And, Jay-Z was still at the height of his career. Still the man, and I got a chance to play a song for him, and he said I was clever.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Coming from a well-respected MC like himself to say that, little old me was clever, but he also gave me a great piece of advice. He said that, who am I speaking for? I was dope. You know what I mean? Clever, lyrical, all that stuff. But I wasn't speaking for anybody.
Okay.
So that bit of advice it didn't kick in until years later, but that was the seed that planted who I am now. You know what I mean? Being able to speak for a certain demographic. So that is definitely one highlight of my music career, and then the other one has come as of recent with getting the cosign from Pete Rock, and him being the legendary producer that he is. I just did a series, the Pete Instrumentals collection, where I did 10 days with 10 verses over 10 Pete Rock beats with 10 videos.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I did that for 10 days straight. And, the people loved it. People really loved it. So.
And you got some reposts out of that too by him, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
yes.
That's right there saying something. Like, it's one thing for fans to spread your work, which is great. That's awesome. But when you're doing a different take of an artist's work that they put their blood, sweat, and tears into, and they're like, oh, dude, that's solid. I'm going to share this. And I like this. I endorse this. And
exactly.
that says a lot, man. It says a lot.
Yeah. I got quite a few more, supporters from his repost.
I'm sure.
And they kind of went back and checked the other stuff I did. It was like, hey, where you been? I'm like, I've been here all this time.
I've just been waiting for you to find me.
Right. Right. But now it's time to put the foot on the pedal with that recent, highlight. As you just stated, that is definitely a highlight. So, it's definitely time to put the foot on the gas pedal.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. And I wasn't even trying to say your name right there. I kind of caught myself as I was saying it. But hell yeah.
You can't help it.
Exactly. Exactly. It's contagious, man. So that's impressive, man. When that's got to be a good feeling when somebody who you look up to and respect shares your stuff. So
yeah, man.
And you get that validation right there. So I got a couple more questions for you here. And
let's do it.
One of them, it kind of goes off of what the piece of advice Jay-Z gave to you. Like, who are you speaking for? What's your message type thing? It's what do you want people to take away? Or is there a feeling that you want your listeners to take away and remember about your music and your performance now that you have that voice?
That I'm a strong black male presence.
Okay.
We live in a time where manhood has taken a back seat. It's like it's cool for men to be, I don't know, I don't want to say soft, because soft it's not a nice thing to say about men, but just the macho part, macho man, the macho side of men, that has been neglected for whatever reason, but it's still something that the world needs. The world needs strong man presence. We need manhood here. And I want people to get that from me as well. As like, oh, that's a real man there.
Definitely.
Oh, it's cool. It's cool to be manly again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I really want people to get from my music. And also the fact that it's okay to be yourself, man. Like, I'm not no big time, never been no big time drug dealer or street dude or none of that. You know what I mean? I just always been the dude who was cool with everybody. I had fun, but don't mess with me. You know what I mean? Like, don't play with my family. Don't play with my money. Don't play with my time. And that's what I represent. Is a serious, strong male presence.
Okay, so how do you go about making sure that comes through? Like, is there a way you approach your music that makes that helps you get that feeling across? Not
just being honest. When you speak from your heart and and be honest about where you're speaking from, it flows naturally. I don't, of course there's witty ways or more clever ways that I want to express certain things, because that's just being a MC and being lyrical, so you want to use different metaphors and similes and analogies and stuff like that. But, it's still about being honest, man. Like it's you can't beat being an honest and genuine individual.
Very true, man. Very true. Like as I was thinking though, as like how you could get that across in a picture, like that thing. I was like, man, like this was all running through my head. I apologize how my mind works, but I could just picture some dude trying to get that message across with a big old giant turkey leg in one hand, like wearing a wife beater, the white beater shirts, and I don't know, maybe even the beer belly sticking out or something like that. That's like the visual in my head. Not
right.
But what you were saying goes along great with this book. You know who Adam Carolla is, right? From The Man Show, Love Line with Dr. Drew, stand-up comedian. He has a podcast, one of the biggest podcasts actually, an Adam Carolla show. He also has a book out that he has a couple of them. One's like not Taco Bell material, because when he was young, Taco Bell wouldn't hire him, saying some shit. The other one that fits this is "In 50 Years We'll All Be Chicks" is the title of it. So
oh my goodness,
it's going talking about the demasculinization of America right now, and there's a lot of things that make sense in that. So if you want a funny, good read, go ahead and check that out. And I do have one final question for you, but before I get to that question, where can people find you online? What's your social medias, your websites? What's your corner of the internet?
I'm on Instagram a lot. It's at Hellz _ODE. That's HELLZYEA _ODE. Everything is Hellz HELLZYEA. You can put the search in any one of those and I'm going to come up. And I should be the only one to come up on the social media.
All right. I'm starting another account tonight. No.
Yeah, but definitely all those, everything is Hellz across the board. And my website is hellz.online.
Okay, hellz.online.
Yep.
There's so many dots now, man. There used to be just .com and .net. I know. Dot all sorts of shit.
And people got on me because I mean, years ago I lost hellz.com. I mean, of course, eventually I want to buy it back. But I think the person wanted like $2,000 for it. I was just like, oh, the heck with that. I'm just going to go and get another. And I thought hellz.online sounded cool. So.
Right on. Yeah, it does. It does. And, like I almost got like uncontained.com. I had to go with uncontainedpod.com. But like between me looking it up at work and then coming home and, trying to buy it after I got my credit card from home. Yeah. And it was purchased, those damn bots.
Exactly.
I learned a lesson from that. So, and I'll pass that on. Like, if you are searching a website on any of the search engines, like GoDaddy or whatever other ones there are out there, make sure you're ready to buy if what you want is available right there. Yes. Don't wait, or else you'll be stuck with.
And they make it cheap enough so you can buy it right then and there. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, there's really no excuse to not buy it as soon as you see it available.
All right, Hellz, I got that one final question for you. It's a title question of the show. Hellz, how do you live uncontained?
Basically, it goes back to me believing in myself. I believe in myself 150, 100, 200%. So no matter what happens, or what anybody says about me or my talent or, how bad the industry is and all that stuff, I believe in myself too much to let any of that affect me. It keeps me. And then when I get comments from folks saying, "Oh, you inspire me," or I get friends who call me and be like, "Hey, you inspired me to pick up the pen again," it's like, I'm kind of fulfilling a purpose here.
That's awesome.
So I can't stop. I can't let all the years of hard work that I put in to go away because somebody has something bad to say about me or my music, or or because one album didn't do good. So what? Make another one. that's how I look at it. You know what I mean? Like, every failure is a lesson. So I'd rather take the lessons and keep it moving and once again keep believing in myself. That belief, you can't underestimate the power of belief in yourself.
That's powerful right there, man. That's powerful. That's some good advice right there, man. You gotta have the faith in yourself before anybody else will, pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
can't let people telling you can't do it stop you from, that's what I'm taking away from what you're saying.
Right. And I'm always, I know we talked about Gary Vaynerchuk, but I also listen to Eric Thomas,
I don't know him actually.
Eric Thomas is pretty good, but he always talks about beast mode and always being in beast mode. That's me. I'm always in beast mode, whether it's in the studio, whether it's performing, whether it's networking, I'm always in beast mode, looking for my next meal, looking for that next idea, looking for that next record, looking for that next beat. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
That's me being uncontained, honestly. It's just like always being in beast mode.
Definitely some good advice. It always has to feel good when you inspire somebody to pick back up the paper and the pen and write something again, along with, being, just going after it no matter what happens. Right. Trying to avoid the whole 50 years will all be chick syndrome. But thank you so much for coming on and talking to me and being the one to pop my Instagram live cherry. So thank you to everybody who actually watched this on Instagram live. It was a little bit of a rough start, but we got it going, and I'm gonna have to do that again. It's kind of fun. Give a little preview of what the interview is gonna be, and then put it out when it's scheduled to come out. So we'll see how that all works out. But I have one final thing for you to do before you can get on out of here and go work in your studio, because I know people have been asking you questions. All right. The final thing to do, Hellz, is sign off the show today. Will you do me the honor of signing off the show today, Hellz?
Certainly. And I want to say, first and foremost, don't let anybody tell you to give up on your dream. Don't let anybody tell you you're too old to pursue your dream. Never give up on your dream. And that is how you will live life uncontained. I am Hellz, and I live uncontained.
And that does it for another episode of Uncontained. Thank you for listening, and thank you to Hellz for joining me and sharing his story with me. And for you guys listening now, if you want to get an early peek at the show, make sure you add Uncontained Pod on Instagram and check out the shows on Instagram Live. You may even be able to get a question in to ask the guests that day. So keep submitting your questions, keep checking me out, keep sharing the show. I appreciate every last one of you, and thank you for listening, and until next time, live uncontained.